The crowd seemed to perk up. A man said, "If you're Newton, then fly for us." Newton floated off the sidewalk, then flew off into the sky. When Newton landed, the people fell down and started worshipping him. Newton said, "You shouldn't do this. If the black mutant returns and starts to attack, your so-called God will be as valuable as I don't know." And with that brilliant line, they stopped worshipping Newton. "Newton, you must save us. The black mutant is getting stronger and stronger. He came down into the city and slammed our leader around with his mind, then made his head explode off his shoulders. You must protect us from him." Newton looked discouraged and said, "I came to this planet to defeat it. I came to this planet to defeat him. But I was totally unprepared for the powers he now possesses. He managed to hack off my right hand. If I could somehow leave this planet and go back in time, I could stop the mutant before all this happened." A man shouted, "That would be great for you, but in this time the black mutant would still be the ruler. You would just snuff him out, and our doubles in another time would be free, but the lives in this time would be killed." Newton laid up against a wall and said, "You're right. Our only hope is if we can somehow get in contact with the Kryptonite galaxy. Isn't there any place on this planet where I can find a spaceship?" "Mutania is just a cracked up cave now." Another man said, "The black mutant destroyed most of our spaceship bases. You might as well check the eastern continent. That's a place that deals with interplanetary space travel." "Gosh," said Newton, "interplanetary sure sounds primitive. What I need is an intergalactic ship. Doesn't this planet carry ships that can travel at least 10,000 times the speed of light?" "I'm sorry, Newton," said another man. Our ships can't. Our ships can only travel 1,000 times the speed of light." "Well," said Newton, "that means if I did use one of your ships, I would reach Kryptonite 2 million years from now." Newton then flew back to the primitive village to pick up Obacoba to take him back to Mutania, but Newton's plans were interrupted by the natives. The primitives had Obacoba locked in a cage, thinking he was magical. They were poking him with sticks to make him cast spells. Just a minute here. Newton flew down in front of the primitives and demanded that they release Obacoba. "Koomba boomba," shouted the witch doctor. Newton laughed. "Koomba boomba noomba," he yelled at Newton. "Let the prisoner go," said Newton. The witch doctor leaped in the air and started chanting something. All the other natives ran in their huts, looking scared. Obacoba said, "Newton, you better be careful. That weirdo has powers. He wanted me to use mine." "You don't have any powers," said Newton, looking puzzled. "I know. They think you do, and they think that as long as they hold me prisoner, you won't be able to use yours because I am supposedly the key to your magic." Newton laughed. Newton looked at the dancing witch doctor and laughed louder. Newton said, "Okay, we'll see whose power is stronger." The skeptical Newton smiled and started staring at the white wild man dressed as a witch doctor, and the witch doctor stared at Newton. A minute passed by. Newton started laughing, then turned to break the lock to the cage Obacoba was in. Right when Newton reached the cage, something strange began to take place. Newton felt as though his hand was attached to a vibrator. Newton's hand vibrated quickly. Newton turned to the witch doctor and said, Okay, Booga, your power is stronger than mine. Now knock it off." The witch doctor didn't know English. and continued concentrating its mind power on Newton. Newton suddenly smashed the cage like it was a bunch of matchsticks and freed Obakuba, scaring the witch doctor. The witch doctor leaped back and started rolling his eyes back and pounding his head with his hands. Newton was puzzled to what the lunatic was doing. Suddenly, Newton felt dizzy and started staggering around. Newton had a grave feeling that the witch doctor was trying to kill him. Newton flew off the ground and started smashing the witch doctor in the face with his only fist. Newton snapped the witch doctor's head back with a steady stream of punches. Right when the witch doctor was about to hit the ground unconscious, Newton jumped up and kicked it 2 times in the head. The witch doctor tipped to the side, let out a small groan, and splashed down into a mud puddle. "Let's get out of here," demanded Newton, and he and Obakuba ran out of the village. It was twilight when Newton and Obakuba realized that they were being followed by the village warriors. Newton grabbed Obakuba and started flying off through the jungle. Suddenly, Newton got tangled up in some vines and dropped Obakuba, who landed in a swamp. Before Newton could think of anything, he was struck by a dart from one of the natives. The dart bounced off his leg and landed in the swamp. "Not very friendly after all, are they?" said Newton to himself. Newton leaped down into the shore while the natives surrounded him to avenge the death of their witch doctor. Newton didn't even know that he killed him. Apparently, the witch doctor drowned in the mud puddle. Newton said, "Hey, look, I'm really sorry. It's just that guy was getting a little dangerous with his mind power." They didn't understand Newton and started shooting their darts at him. Newton stood there with the poisoned darts in him and slowly pulled them out, trying to show that he wasn't angry. The poison didn't have any effect on Newton. The natives were shocked. Right when Newton pulled every dart out of him, they fired another round into him. He looked like a dog after attacking a porcupine. Newton's patience faded. The poison was beginning to give him a splitting headache. If he were a normal person, he would have been down from the first dart. Newton started looking crazy. His eyes began to look like the witch doctor's. The natives suddenly shot a 3rd round of darts into Newton. Newton started losing his mind. The natives looked like a bunch of demons to him. Newton was hallucinating terribly. Newton started shaking all over. He let out a yell and attacked the natives. Newton went insane. Newton used his one hand and began to claw and kick and bite and rip at the now fleeing primitives. Newton flew off the ground and tore through a tree. And Newton leaped off the ground and tore through trees and vines. Newton smashed their heads and crushed their rib cages like they were made out of balsa wood. Obakuba couldn't believe what he was viewing from the usually peaceful Newton. A few minutes passed and all 30 of the warriors were dead. What was left of them was not a very pretty sight. Newton ran off through the jungle, screaming and yelling out in pain and agony from the horrible hallucinations. Obakuba spotted Newton tearing through the bushes and screamed about. Newton tore a branch out of the tree and started smashing the tree with it. Newton grabbed onto the tree trunk and crushed it and clawed at it. Newton punched at the sawdust, then passed out. Obakuba was terrified of Newton. But when Newton came to, he was back to normal again. The next morning, they proceeded on their way back to Mutania. 2 days later, and they were back aboard the ship. Newton looked about depressedly and said, "Looks like the planet is going to be our home." Obakuba sat down on the now muddy floor of the engine room and said, "No, no." In the morning, the fire on the engine room floor was just a pile of ashes. Newton was laying on a control panel looking up at the ceiling, and Obakuba was snoring on the seat. Newton was calculating the increasing powers of the